Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. We have a question that came in today to customer service, and this one comes from John Williams. And John says, Don, recently I was having a not so stellar day on the course, and a friend commented that I did not have consistent tempo in my swing, and that my backswing was very slow compared to my forward upswing. I took note of that and realized that no matter what club my backswings are very slow, in the 2.5 second range before I transition to the forward upswing, and that for me is too much time, which can induce unnecessary brain and muscle activity. What is a good rule of thumb for the tempo of the backswing versus the transition to the forward upswing? Tempo is a huge factor in the golf swing, and I've noticed that in the beginning of all of your videos, you are about 1 second when you are transitioning to the forward upswing, and you are about 1.5 seconds when you strike the ball, and 1.75 seconds to the tee finish. Is tempo relative to the player, or is there a rule of thumb? And if so, what is a good practice strategy for tempo of backswing versus forward upswing? Good observations. Those numbers you were talking about here, about my time, I think realistically are a little bit faster. I've had them told to me beforehand. But I will tell you this, versus the average PGA Tour player who takes a parallel swing, at one time I think my number was like 0.85 of a second, and like to the top of the backswing, and then the impact was another quarter of a second or something, whatever, and it was like I was like at least 30 to 40% quicker getting from takeaway to impact than almost all, even tour players who swing the club a lot faster than me, who go to parallel. And I think that would obviously simply be because I'm only going to right here and I'm already transitioning. So when they're going from here to there and then have to get back to there, that's extra time that's added onto their swing. So even by the time they're going faster than me at impact, I transition so much sooner with the shorter swing that my time's a lot less than them. So I think that tempo is critical. I remember reading someplace years ago that you talk about routine and things of that sort. Somebody timed Nicklaus, I think it was his last Masters victory, and they had some starting point. They clicked the clock on, and then he took him to impact. And in that round, if you recall, he shot a great back nine, and there was only one poor shot, and that one poor shot was the fact that he looked up and waggled one more time than he did on all the other shots. So that probably took him out of his tempo and his rhythm, and he hit a poor shot. Now, I don't know how poor it was, but all I know is the gist of the article was that one change in his routine did it. So let's analyze what we want to talk about here. Tempo and timing are two different words. Timing is the proper sequential movement of the parts of the body. In your swing, the things have to go in a proper timing. In today's jargon, especially with kinesiology, they call it the kinematic chain, and things have to work in the right order to be able to stretch the muscles properly to create a golf swing. Now, I was recently filmed by somebody who has one of those machines that can measure all of that, and he was dead certain that the peak performance golf swing would not have the correct kinematic chain, which means when I transition, my lower body starts first. When I ring my bell, the bump comes, my lower body goes, which then starts pulling my hips, my upper body, which eventually comes to my arms, and my arms get pulled down, and I swing and it's on up. He was ready to bet the farm that I would not have that chain, and I did. So timing is a proper sequential movement of the parts of the body. Tempo is the speed, the rhythm, the pace of the swing, so to speak. What drum beat do you swing to? All right, and that changes from person to person. Many people say that tempo is somewhat based on your personality, meaning if everything you do in life is you amble along rather slow and at a nice steady pace, your swing will probably likely be there. there's been some really slow swingers. Bob Murphy on the PGA Tour used to come all the way back real slow, come to a stop up there and hit it. If I did that, I wouldn't bet too much that I could hit it. I might bet that I'll get the ball, but I'm not going to probably like where it went. Nancy Lopez was another great player, and she's in the Hall of Fame, where she took the club back, came up to the slow, real slow, and bam, she swung. Evidently, it worked for those two players. They're both great players. Nancy Lopez is in the Hall of Fame. But I think that on the other side of the coin, let's look at Nick Price. He's also in the Hall of Fame. And Nick Price is, if you blink, you might miss his swing. Very fast tempo. But I think if you watch Nick walk, even look at him talk, listen to him talk, he's rather fast. I think Nick can keep up with me when I'm getting excited. And I'm a pretty fast person. I'm a high D personality, type A, super high D. I don't know what Nick's is, but I'd probably bet he probably is in that realm. I mean, Tiger Woods has got a fairly fast swing, especially in his transition. Boy, he's got some serious, when he snaps his hips, he's got some serious twitch muscles, and man, he explodes to it. And if you blink at the transition, he'll be already in the finish before your eyes open up again. So you are what you are, to use that expression. I think the best thing is your tempo needs to be relatively consistent. I've had some golfers that you start learning this, you might develop some type of a count. 1, 2 to hit it. Or you might want to go 1, 2 if you're going to be a slower one. But I think if I hit, mine's going to be about 1, 2. 1, 2. All right? And I know I'm a little bit slower than I was a few years back. I've lost club head speed. And hey, I'm getting older, man. I'm 63 now. But so we have this concept of timing and tempo. Timing, the proper sequential movement of the parts of the body. Tempo, the speed, the rhythm, the drum beat we swing to. You really need to have them both fine-tuned, because you can't have consistent timing if your tempo's off. All right? And so is one more important than the other? Nah, I think they're both pretty darn important. The key is for you to figure out what type of personality you have, and just try to figure out some type of rhythm. I know you can get metronomes or go tick tock or whatever, but I think there's just as good a metronome as the one in my head if I just start saying to myself 1, 2. All right? 1, 2. That's too fast for me. But how about 1, 2? That's way too slow for me, because if I swung at that pace, I wouldn't be able to accelerate the club enough. But some people can. So it all depends on your inner clockwork, your inner clock mechanism that can develop the speed and the rate at which you can do things, make a good golf swing in coordinated movement, and hit the ball. So tempo is important, because tempo and timing are what you need to hit a good golf shot. But you got to figure out your tempo, and your personality is a good look at it. And just go out and start hitting some balls and just fool with 1, 2 counts, or whatever count works for you, or humming a song, or just 1, 2, and get that down, knocked in your head, and maybe start going, giving yourself a 1, 2 when you play golf. 1, 2, and talk to yourself and see which works out best. And I think you'll find as the clubs get longer, you're going to have to really increase your arm speed, and you're transferring your arm speed to make sure that it gets there to count. Or you might have to slow it down a little bit, because a longer club has farther to travel, but you should be swinging a little bit faster. So does it make up enough? So you might start noticing that the longer clubs might have just a fraction of a little bit longer count. Maybe they might be shorter. Who knows? That's why developing a count could be good for yourself if you're having tempo problems. All right. So timing, tempo, very important. You want to play good golf, you got to get them. You got to get them synced together and keep them synced from swing to swing. And that's how you get to hit the ball much more consistently. And when you hit it consistent, more solid and straight, you'll shoot those lower scores. That's it for the Surge for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.